But at some point, the math is the math. And
I think we can do a better job using that information.
it reinforces my belief that I have the best constituents. Hello, Austin. Hello, District 6. Hello, Clawbackers. Thanks for watching another episode of the Clawback, episode 28. We've got a great show for you today. We have Dr. Cynthia Graves, my dentist, actually, but a number of other things about Dr. Graves that I have come to love and appreciate. Another District 6 resident musician, Ethan Shaw with Brother Shaw Band, will be on. And then hopefully we'll be joined by Representative Eddie Rodriguez, who is also running for state senate. If you live on the Travis County side of District 6, you will be able to vote for that Senate race in a special election over the summer. But I want to start with a little bit of an update. I'm going to share my screen. Everybody cross your fingers that this will work. Oh, it's going to be the wrong thing, but it's okay. I want to start with our dashboard. So you all are probably at least a little familiar with this dashboard. You've seen me bring this up in prior episodes. The mayor talks about it a lot. This is the chart of infections, the cases that are happening with the pandemic. I'm going to make that a little bigger so we can see it. Here's the chart, cumulative number of cases. That number is still going up. That's not great. There are other numbers in here too that are also not great. We've got hospitalizations. This one breaks down hospitalizations by ethnicity, race and ethnicity, and you can see that as we get towards the end of April, we're starting to see a spike in the ratio of cases happening amongst the Hispanic community. Also not great. You would hope that a virus that knows no race and knows no demographics would also be affecting the community equally. That is not happening. And it's also happening that way in other communities. We're going to be doing some more work on that topic myself. In addition to being your council member for District 6, I also chair the Community Activation Network, or the Community Advancement Network, and I chair the Capcog Economic Development Board. And we will be digging into all these numbers to make sure that things are being handled equitably, that we're not solving the problem in one part of the community, but leaving another part of the community without the resources they need. But again, the cases up over 2,300. Our number of deaths, sadly, has crossed 70. People are dying, and there's a portion of this that is related to nursing homes, where we're seeing a hotspot, but we're also seeing a little bit of a hotspot in cases around construction. At the last work session that the council had, and we talked to Dr. Escott about it, we were told, I asked specifically, okay, besides nursing homes, what else is creating infection? And it was pretty clear that people being forced to go back to work, or people going back to work, are becoming a new source, a new hotspot of infection. And that's really the challenge. That's really the problem. A lot of folks are frustrated. I'm certainly frustrated. I've been in my home for many weeks. Is it years? Sometimes it feels like years. And I haven't left because of how important it is to protect the community and not be a vector for transmission. But if you're in a position where you need to work, or if your job reopens and you need to get back to work, you may be at higher risk than the customers who are coming into your store. And that is a scary thing. And it can exacerbate those differences around race and ethnicity, because a lot of the jobs where folks are engaging with the public tend to be more people of color or folks who are more vulnerable. It's just a real confluence of bad events. And we've got to make sure that we're applying our resources as a community, as a government, applying our resources to make sure that everyone is protected as equitably and as equally as we can possibly achieve. One of the things that we did last week, I'm going to take this down for a second. One of the projects that I've been working on in my office, we passed an item a week ago to create additional funds for small businesses and nonprofits and childcare. Hopefully we'll see those funds start to get out into the community sooner than later. Part of that is $1 million in grants to businesses to help protect themselves under the governor's new orders that allow some businesses to reopen. We don't want to have a business that is already going to struggle because of occupancy limits, 25% limit, according to the governor. We don't want that to be a reason that there isn't enough medical equipment or personal protective equipment or other things or solutions that business might need to stay safe. To that end, I also wanted to bring up this new chart that Austin Public Health has put out. These are the guidelines. These are the risk-based guidelines about what can you do as we move in and out of this crisis. We are in stage 3 right now. That means that we're still under a level of prohibition on social gatherings. You can see in stage 3 that it's prohibited to be greater than 10. You still don't want to have any non-essential travel, and you don't want to be dining or shopping in areas where there are people greater than 10. I mean, that's really the problem. And that's for higher risk individuals. If you are in a higher risk category, if you're in a lower risk category, there's a little more flexibility. But remember, a lot of the folks who have to work in those jobs are often in that higher risk category. If you have an ability to stay home, if you have an ability to protect yourself, absolutely do it. We are still standing up a lot of programs to try to help these businesses survive and make it through, so that when we come out of this pandemic, we'll be stronger. And our businesses, our beloved iconic businesses, and all the other jobs, as many of them as possible, will still be around. But it's not the only work that we're doing. You can see this other tab, Anderson Mill Road. In addition to all the pandemic stuff we're working on, which is a lot, all of the other work of the city continues. And on the council meeting agenda for next Thursday, so in just about a week, we will be approving the construction contract to rebuild Anderson Mill Road. You can see on the map here, this is the project that I've been working on since before I was a council member. It's been not just a passion project, but a big reason why I became a council member. And that construction will start to begin. You will start to see physical realities of improvements on Anderson Mill Road starting over the summer. It's a very exciting things to see as we move into how we're all going to get through this. So I want to bring up my first guest. I've had a few doctors, physicians come onto the show and talk about what they're experiencing, but there's the medical community is broad. There are a lot of factors and a lot of folks who participate in keeping everyone healthy. And so I want to bring on my dentist, Dr. Cynthia Graves. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, Jimmy. Good to see you. Good to hear your voice.
See you. Yeah, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming on to the show. I wanted to just start and ask, how are you doing? How are you and your family holding up?
We're doing great. We did a kind of a soft rollout of the practice about a week ago, where we were just seeing restorative patients that had backed up over the time that we were closed. And then Monday, we started back at a fairly routine schedule, seeing patients for preventive care and other needs. Family-wise, we're doing great. I had a month to be a nerd. I always said if I had a whole month, I'd spend the whole month digging in and being a nerd. I didn't really think I'd do it on infection control again, but here we are. I know more about aerosols and infection control and HEPA filters and N95. I mean, I could go on. I'm a nerd.
Well, I appreciate having a nerd as a dentist. There's I've always been so impressed about the amount of technology that you bring to your practice. Talk a little bit about what steps you're taking as your patients come in for dental service. How are you keeping people safe?
So the first thing I want to get everyone's awareness of is it is safe to see your dentist. Dental offices are basically like ORs, and outside of a hospital, I think a dental office is probably the safest place to go for medical care. We've been doing this since the early 90s. I was the first infection control officer in a community clinic where I worked in Tucson, Arizona, before they even had the term infection control officer, before OSHA came in and inspected things, before we even had the term standard precautions. But your dentist has been operating since 2003 under standard precautions, which is designed to interrupt the infection chain. It's designed to protect the dentist, the team, and the patient. And so you've got the State Board of Dentistry looking out for the safety of patients. You've got OSHA looking out for the safety of the employees. And as an employer dentist, I have to honor both, but I do it for my team. In my office, we've used level 3 surgical masks since 2010, when a friend of mine developed a lung disease that's common to dentists. It's called IPF. It's idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And I went to the better masks then. They cost a little bit more, but my team's worth it, and I'm worth it. And then in 2018, we added a special filter to the practice that filters out viruses and mercury. That has all the things you're hearing now. So UV light, it makes ozone, and it has a special HEPA filter. I've added HEPA filtration devices to each of the rooms where I make aerosols. Let me make something clear to everyone, because one of my girlfriends called me a couple weeks ago when all the hysteria happened. April 27th, the New England Journal of Medicine published a report that was based on a study performed at NIH here in the United States. What they did was they took a nozzle that had three little nozzles on it, and they shot the virus into a thing called a Goldberg drum. It's a drum that actually rotates, and it has baffles inside it. So it has the perfect temperature, the perfect humidity, the perfect pressure, and it has the little baffles that kind of keep the aerosol going. And what this is, it's like an incubator for an aerosol. Inside that drum, they were only able to keep the virus in an aerosol suspension for 3 hours. So unless you're living in a Goldberg drum, you don't have to worry about going to the grocery store and somebody sneezing and then you walking through the aerosol, because this behaves like every other coronavirus, the common cold and SARS. It drops to the ground in a droplet within a meter. That's why we have social distancing at 2 meters, which is 6 feet, because most of us underestimate 6 feet. See, I've got my nutty professor going. You can tell I've been studying. So I really want to assure everyone that's listening that going out in public, the reason we're wearing masks is to decrease the spray that comes out of someone's face. Even if they didn't have a mask on, if you're 3 feet away, studies show that you're going to be safe. You want to be 6 feet away, just because of the underestimation that most of us have. And then in our practice, we haven't really changed much. We went to the N95 or equivalent mask when we're making an aerosol, because that's what's required by the state of Texas. And I'm doing that because I don't break the law. I'm too pretty for girl jail. But the thing I learned is that we've been keeping a really clean clinic all along. And I do that because I was Longhorn Band, and you're going to do it. You're going to do it right. Damn it. So.
That's right. Well, you mentioned Longhorn Band. I was also in Longhorn Band, as you know, and I don't have any photos or surprises loaded about our mutual love for the Longhorn Band, but it's always great to see you at Alumni Band every year. There is one thing I do want to bring up that you do at your practice by Westwood High School, and you have these signs.
We have so much fun with the signs. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Tell me how this came to be.
So I am a big fan of the El Arroyo signs. I always have been. And this was one of our favorites. This was my husband George's idea. So it's a way for me to get my personality out. And what's interesting is that, most people are scared of the dentist. And I've had patients, I ask them, how did you find us? And folks in this neighborhood are saying, well, I've been driving by this office for, 20 years. And when you started putting the signs out, I thought I had to come meet you. Actually, one of my favorites was when I told the Westwood Band that their drill was louder than mine back in the summer.
That was a good one too.
Yeah, we've got some sassy ones. At first I was trying to be like really professional, that one's a little edgy for the beginning. But yeah, we have fun with the signs. So that's just a way for me to reach out to the community and maybe make them laugh, or and I had to do it in this format because I can't do like El Arroyo where I have to have the specific sign. The banner doesn't violate the Anderson Mill mud.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I couldn't resist. I couldn't avoid having you on the show and not bringing up your signs. They're so funny, and I always laugh when I get to see those when I'm driving through the Andersonville neighborhood. Dr. Graves, thank you so much for joining the show. I'm so glad to hear that your practice is doing well, and that it is such a safe environment for folks to maintain their health through your office. So thank you for joining us, and stay safe.
I appreciate it. You too, hon.
Thanks. Dr. Graves is really great, and she has been my personal dentist for a number of years now. But that Longhorn Band connection is always something that's really, really fun and special. My next guest, our musical guest for the show today, a District 6 resident, actually lives in my neighborhood, which is pretty cool. Ethan Shaw of Brother Shaw Band. Hi, Ethan.
Hello, Councilmember Flanagan.
Thanks for coming on the show, and thanks to your wife for reaching out.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
she's
been watching this, and she's been trying to keep me occupied through all of this, and so she's pretty good at that. She knows I'm
awesome.
Busy.
Well, tell me, how are you? How are you and her? How is your family holding up during this crisis? How is your music holding up?
Well, we're all right, and it's nice to see that now things are starting to maybe feel a little better. I mean, it's really nice to be able to go outside, and it's been really nice weather through all this, and that's helped us get through it. And we're very fortunate in that we live in an area that has a lot of opportunities to walk around. As far as music goes, obviously there's no gigs happening right now. So to keep me busy in the very beginning of all this, my wife said, why don't you go on Facebook and every day make a new video of you playing a different instrument? And so I did that, and it was fun, and it was really nice, and it was I didn't expect people to like it as much as they did, but it was really pleasant. So
that's how many instruments do you play?
I don't know, a bunch. Some better than others, but I could play a lot of stringed instruments and some other types of instruments, but I mainly play steel guitar now, but I used to play music for a living. I went to college for music. Back then I was mainly playing bass and upright bass.
That's awesome. The music that you work on, you have your band, Brother Shaw Band, but you also do side work or side gigs with other musicians, some of which are pretty well known.
Yeah. I've been very fortunate to have a great career. Right now, the Brother Shaw Band, so my band, Brother Shaw, and then also I'm in a band called Chili Cold Blood that some friends of mine and I have had for almost 20 years. And but then I'm having a great time right now playing with Georgia Parker and the people from Big Cedar Fever and a bunch of other great bands now. But over the years, I've been really fortunate to get to play with all kinds of people. I moved down here when I was 20 years old, and almost immediately, that was when things were really hot in the music scene in Austin in the mid-90s. And I was very fortunate in that right away I got to join a band that was signed to a major label, and that was
wow.
Got to kind of see the world doing that.
Well, my friend and musical director of this show, Kate Messer, required that I ask you about the time that you spent in the Disney World band, which sounds amazing. But more importantly, did you do it in costume?
Well, we had costumes, but not the type you're thinking of. We had two
no
different
mascot
costumes.
heads. Huh?
Yeah, I would say it was more Miami Vice looking. We had these collarless shirts and cream colored pants. No, it was really fun. It was called the All American College Band, and Disney went around to all the big music colleges in America recruiting people, and so it was quite an honor to be able to be part of that. I was the only bass player there, so it was great. But we would before the year that I was in it, they just had a marching band, and then they decided the year that I was in it that they would have a show band also. So we would do these shows where we played oldies and played things, and I don't know if people know this, but the Magic Kingdom in Disney World in Florida is actually built over a series of tunnels. So we would be down in the tunnels, and that's where our practice room was. And then we would come up on the stage that would come out of the floor and play for people 5 times a day. And one of the shows every day, the marching band would come in and we'd do a big band show. And it was great. We weren't allowed to go up into the park in our costumes, but we were allowed to. If we were able to change out of our costumes really quickly, we could run up, and all around Disney World, there's all these little secret doors where you can get out into the park. So we would in between sets quick change our clothes, run up and ride rides, and then be back down in time for the next set.
That's amazing. That sounds like a really phenomenal experience to have had. I'm glad to have you on the show. I know you're going to perform a song, but before we get to the music, I also want to ask you about your business. In addition to being a musician, you also opened a business right here in the district.
That's true, and that's my secret identity. But now that the cat's out of the bag, yes, I have a hair salon that specializes in naturally curly hair. It's called Curly Hair Austin, and yeah, I do. It's the way that all came about. When I was in college in Boston for music, I didn't have any money. Couldn't afford a decent haircut, got some really bad haircuts, and then I decided I'm going to try cutting my own hair. So I started cutting my own hair. When I moved to Austin, I was playing music for a living, and a bunch of my other musician friends started asking me, hey, who cuts your hair? And when they found out that I cut my own hair, they said, hey, will you come to our living rooms and cut our hair for beer? And I said, all right. So I started doing that, and one of the guys whose hair I was cutting, his wife at the time was the top hair colorist in Austin. And she said to me, you have some sort of natural aptitude at this. You should really think about maybe being a hairdresser. Well, at this point in my life, I had spent several years just playing music for a living. And even when you're touring the world, it's there's not too many people that are making a real stable living, especially if you're thinking about trying to have a family. So I thought, you know what? This would be great if I do this, then maybe I don't have to be so worried about making money, and I can do something else that makes me happy. And so that's how that all came about. And eventually I ended up specializing in curly hair, and luckily that became so successful that then now I have two other women that work with me that also specialize in curly hair.
And how is your business holding up under conditions?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was really rough and scary. For 7 weeks, we were not open. And basically, I had no income for those 7 weeks because the way that I make money are by playing music and by having my hair salon. So there was no money coming in at that time for various reasons. Unemployment was not an option for me. Also, I was trying really, really hard every day to get government loans to help me get through this. And I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard about what a mess and a nightmare that was. So for about 30 days, I would work about 5 hours a day trying to get help with this. And nothing came through. It was very disheartening. And then finally, at the very end, when we were about to be able to open back up, some of those things finally came through for me. And now we are open again, and it was a little scary to do it, but really it's been wonderful. And we're fortunate in that we have a small salon. There's only 2 chairs in there, so there's only at the most 2 of us and 2 clients at a time, and our chairs are about 15 feet apart. And the good thing is, a lot of what was going to be necessary to operate now, we already had. We already had hospital-grade disinfectant. That's one of the nice things about hair salons is that we are regulated very tightly, and we have to provide a sanitized environment. So there's definitely way more things we're doing now. All our clients are required to wear masks. We wear masks. There's no food and drink at the salon. There's no magazines. So it is a different experience in certain ways, and it was very strange at first, but now it's the new normal. And we try to do this in as safe a way as possible. And I have to tell you, it's really been a wonderful feeling to have a paycheck again.
I'm sure. And I'm so glad to hear that you were able to navigate those complicated programs. And of course, at the city, we keep trying to launch new ones, but inevitably it takes a little bit of time to roll them up and trying to match the need to the funding. And so I'm glad that you were able to make it through. Let's hear some of your music. Ethan, I'm really excited to hear what you have for us today. Take it away.
All right. Thank you. 7 years of misery is what you put me through. No, I can't take 7 more. The reckoning is due. Everything's through. 1,000 miles just to get away from you. 7 years of heartache, and now that time is done. I know you think it's all a game, but you never won. Everything's through. 1,000 miles just to get away from you. Trying, I can never make you glad. And my way you didn't think about the good thing that you had. Just to get away from you.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Thank you.
That was so great. I always say I wish I had a soundboard to have applause at the end of that. That was awesome. That was awesome. Ethan, thank you so much for joining the show today and sharing your music with everybody. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And that you're a neighbor. I love that. I love that you're a neighbor.
Absolutely.
So 1 second, I'm going to put you back in the green room and we'll bring you back up in a minute.
Sounds good.
That was pretty awesome, y'all. That was pretty awesome. Unfortunately, my third guest, Representative Rodriguez, had to deal with other matters. I guess that's the side of being both a state representative and a candidate for Senate. But hopefully we'll have him on the show at some point in the future. There are elections coming up, though, and I think that's important to talk about. There is the primary runoffs that are coming up. Early voting for that, I think, starts in late June. Then there's the special election for the Senate race. And if you're, again, on the Travis County side of District 6, you'll be able to vote in that Senate race. There's a handful of candidates, some that are qualified and some that are, I would say, more notorious than qualified. It's going to be a fascinating race over the next couple of months. And then, of course, as we head into November, we'll have the big election, everything from president all the way down to yours truly on the ballot. And I just want to take the chance to say, go to my website, jimmyflanagan.com. If you have enjoyed the show, if you've enjoyed the content we're bringing you, and more importantly, if you like the work that we're doing, we're fixing roads, we're cutting water bills, we're fighting for affordability, we're slowing the roll on tax increases, we're trying to do everything that we can to make this community a great place, a wonderful place for those of us who live here and for our children and their children who want to live in this amazing community. So you can learn more about the campaign side, jimmyflanagan.com. And if you are able to, in this time, to help us get the resources we need to head into November, you can make your donation at jimmyflanagan.com/ donate. I want to bring up my two guests. Thank you, Dr. Graves. Thank you, Ethan Shaw from Brother Shaw Band, for joining the show today. Be safe and take care of your patients and your customers and your businesses as we work to survive this crisis together as a community. Thank you all so much for joining me.
Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, that is it for the show today. I hope you are enjoying that. I hope you are able to spend time with your families. Please be careful. Please stay at home if you can. Wear your masks when you go out in public. You can see on the charts that the infections still continue to rise. We are not out of the woods yet, but we will survive this. We will survive this as a community because we're all working together in a very special way. And I think one of the positive outcomes of this experience is knowing exactly how much we all really care. We care about each other. We care about our neighbors and our neighborhoods, and we care about this city. So everyone be safe, have a good week, and most importantly, if you can, stay home.